I'm a young girl about to reach the age of 17 soon at my coming birthday. Oh, my name is Sharon. I may be young, but I hope to be wise in my decisions. I can be really hard and hot-headed sometimes, which I hope I can be forgiven for, and may not choose the right path in life at times. But I choose to learn from it and never want to regret from what I have chosen to do. I come from a broken family. My parents divorced when I was 10. Soon after, my father took my 5-year-old brother James and I to Kuching, Sarawak, where he found a new job. He did not allow us to meet my mother and my older brother Derek, who was 15, for the 2 years that we were there. I missed my mother very much, but it was best that I did not mention going back to her or it might incur my father's wrath. My childhood was quite typical. Birthdays, family trips. When my mother filed for divorce, she wanted all 3 of us to come back to stay with her as she had found a secure job. I had weighed it thoroughly and knew that my father needed me more than my mother. I could not desert him and was afraid of what he was capable of doing. I did not dare think what part of rampage or rage my father would take should I leave him too. I knew my mother was a more forgiving and understanding person and would not hold a grudge against me with my decisions to be with my father. Derek had accused me of being selfish and self-centered, going after the material comfort that my father offered. But it was far from the truth. I hated seeing my parents staring at each other. My mother had been crying a lot, and the more she cried, the more it angered my father. Why couldn't the adults just say sorry to one another and then be friends again just like Derek and I? I was 16, going on 17, and was at the pinnacle of my life. I enjoyed a different type of lifestyle and freedom at my mother's place compared to my father's, and was at one point attracted to Derek's lifestyle and friends. My mother was a very open-minded, sociable, active person. After the divorce, she had regained her friends and relatives after separating from my father. My father was at the extreme end. A conventional introvert, intellectual recluse, hardly any friends, and not on talking terms with his own siblings and being suspicious of everyone. My father used to say that my mother was a nobody and came from the cheap middle working class, bourgeois mentally to be exact, and he would snort with his stiff upper lip with disapproval over anything that was related or had anything to do with my mother. Maybe I might have inherited my mother's extrovert social genes. I loved being surrounded by people and was fascinated by them. Maybe it was my compassionate nature that attracted me to them. I loved to be with people. I may be shy on the inside, but I had the demure open friendliness in wanting to help and get to know everybody. I remember the day we left for Kuching. My father packed James and I into the taxi to go to the airport. I looked out of the dusty window to catch a last glimpse of my mother while the taxi maneuvered out of the driveway. I looked back and saw my mother following the taxi out. She stood at the gate to watch us leave. I craned my neck to look back at her for as long as I could while my father was busy talking to the taxi driver. From afar, I could see her weeping openly at the gate. My heart was burdened, and I had the full understanding then of the reality of my family breakup. I was leaving my mother. A lot more had happened since I came back to Kuala Lumpur 2 years later. I wanted to get on with life, and sitting for my SPM would help to put the painful past year behind and signify a new beginning. With the help of my school teachers, I sat for my exams.